we are going to go to Alijah Martin. So Alijah Martin is the Toronto Raptors draft pick from the second round this year. He was drafted 39th overall. And one thing to note about Alijah is that he is an older rookie. So this was his 5th season in college basketball. He will be 24 entering the NBA season. And I think that there is a good chance that he makes the final roster because he does bring a lot of things to the table. And as an older rookie, you kind of expect those guys to hit the ground running and not require as much development time. So just a little bit of background on Alijah Martin. So first of all, he played with Florida Atlantic University his first 4 seasons. And then in his final year, he transferred to Florida State, where, you know, he won an NCAA championship in the tournament. He was very good in the tournament and kind of made a name for himself and started, you know, moving up draft boards. One of the things just immediately right off of the bat that you will notice when you watch him play is that he has a developed body. He has an NBA ready body for a guard. He is, you know, broad shoulders, developed musculature. He is, you know, he is well on his way to having an NBA physique. Of course, he probably will need to work on it a little bit more, but that is one of his calling cards, is the fact that he was a bit of a bully in terms of playing at the guard spot in college basketball. And that was one of the elements that really helped Florida State win the championship, was that he was able to, he played the point of attack. You put him in front of the other team's, you know, lead ball handler, and he would move east-west very well and use his physicality to stop them from getting into the lane and navigate screens, bump, do all that kind of stuff. He really does have that kind of dog mentality. Some other things about him is that I think he's a good athlete. I don't think he's like an elite athlete, but I think that he is a strong athlete. I mean, if you've watched any of the highlights from him, I'm sure after the Raptors drafted him, you went onto YouTube just like I did and just sort of consumed some of the highlights that he, you know, created during his tenure in college basketball. And the guy is like, has some sick dunks. A lot of them are like posters and that kind of stuff. One comp, and I know that this is very man who's only seen Boss Baby, seeing his second movie. Wow, this is a lot like Boss Baby. He kind of reminds me of Norman Powell a little bit. And Norman Powell, as you may remember, he is now more of a scoring guard and a shooter and a guy who can, you know, create one-on-one and stuff like that. But in college, he had a defensive rep, and he was known as like a defensive stopper. And one of the things, like, he was also an older player. I believe he was a senior when he entered the draft. So similar circumstances. Also, like, pretty big guy, pretty muscular guy, like not a little shrimp. Also pretty athletic. And also, he didn't have the shot coming in, like he could shoot a little bit, but he did eventually become, and now he is a lethal shooter. So maybe there's some upside comp there. Hopefully Alijah Martin is a little bit better of a defender, maybe a bit more situationally aware. That was always Norman Powell's issue at the NBA level anyways. But yeah, maybe that's a good comp. I don't know. Another thing, yeah. Another thing to note is that he is very right-hand dominant. And this is something that screams, okay? So if you are a one-handed player as a guard, you're an off-ball player, you're a role player. That, in my opinion, you have to be ambidextrous. You've got to be able to go both ways. And he's very right-hand dominant. And they're pretty much very, very few instances of him dribbling with his left hand. It's almost always just he will switch back to his right, and whenever he drives to the rim and finishes, it's with his right hand. With that said, he's a pretty good connector. He didn't average many assists in with Florida. Pretty paltry for a guard. I mean, it was better than his other seasons with 2.2, 2.6 per 36. I would say that's just generally because he was not asked to create for them. He would do the Florida, if you watch them, they like to share the ball, they like to move the ball around, but he was played mostly as a connector. So generally he will be making dump off passes, he'll be making post feeds. They'll give him the ball on a curl, and if he'll come off a screen, get into the lane, and then he'll make a pretty decent pass. There's a couple of nice plays where he's creating for his teammates, but it's all just stuff where it's it's all kind of secondary creation, none of the first option stuff. So I wouldn't expect that from him. Next up, let's talk about the shot. That is one of the biggest swing skill, as it is with pretty much any prospect these days. If you have the ability to shoot the three-point shot, there's a very good chance that you are going to be an NBA player. And he has a very large volume and a large sample size of three-point shooting. So he was in 5 years in college, shot the ball quite a bit, about 6 per game every year. So that's quite a bit. And he averages about 36% from three over that time span, which is of course not elite. And a lot of it is spot up, but it's there, and there's a big sample size. So there is a decent chance that he could become a shooter at the next level. The shot, in terms of the mechanics, looks pretty good. It's a little low. It's a little on the slower side. Nice follow through. I think it's a pretty nice looking shot. I will say though, I think he's a spot up shooter at the next level. That's probably going to be his role in the NBA. He did it quite a bit at Florida State. They'd have him parked in the corner, and he would be the recipient of kickouts. And they did some other stuff where he would come off of screens and shoot the ball and do a little bit of that, but nothing major. Like the two ways that he scores generally: shooting off of a kickout, cutting to the rim, that's in the half court, and then like his superpower. So the guy is like a very, very good transition player. So he is really, really good at creating the circumstances for a turnover, because he is a ball hawk, and B, he is very good at finishing plays. And he's also a good outlet passer. So those are a couple of things that work in his favor. So let's just take a look at some of the clips that I put together. I didn't do anything as kind of robust as Steve put together, but I have a couple of clips here. So let's just go to this quickly. He is right here. He's waiting in the wings, as you can see. He's on the weak side. He is a ball hawk, so he's not sticking with his man completely. He's doing what all good defenders do, which is, keeping an eye on his man and the ball. So he's looking at the ball right now, and he sniffs out that there's going to be a pass to Janai Broom, and he picks it off and goes the other way and slams it home for a nice dunk. And this just shows that, he's lurking. Here, I'll just pause it for a moment. He's lurking and waiting for other teams to make mistakes. This is, a good way to pick up steals in the NBA, in college, is capitalizing on mistakes. Not all steals are just stripping people. A lot of the time it's sensing when there's going to be, a bobble or, an errant pass, and just being in the right spot at the right time. And he couples that with just good foot speed, a competent handle running the break, and he's a very good finisher. So this next one is a very good example of that, where he just picks off this kind of pretty crummy looking pass. Okay, so this was actually a steal that was created by Florida center. It was poked away, but he kind of jumps in there and manages to beat two players down the court and finish off like a really sick dunk. So that obviously, you want to be able to see that as a player at the NBA level. You want to be able to see a guy who can finish on the fast break. The Raptors, in fact, were a very poor finishing team. And that might be hard to wrap your mind around it because they have a lot of athletic guys who should be good in the open court. But they, for whatever reason, just did not have a very good completion rate when it came to finishing fast breaks. And he could really help with that by finishing the break and also starting the break with his good outlet passing. So this last one, this one is more just sort of what are the other things, that he brings to the table. And one of the things that he brings to the table that I really like is just his willingness to do the dirty work. And because that will be his role probably at the next level, you are looking for the role player qualities. So this next one is a nice one where it just shows that he is willing to seek out a man to box out. So let's just take a look at this quickly. He is guarding the corner. He's standing in the dunker spot and he sees the shot go up. What does he do immediately? He looks to the perimeter. Okay. He sees, I believe that's, gosh, what's the name of that? Who's the guy who's drafted out of UConn, the white guy, the shooter?
Is it not Kalkbrenner, but Riley?
No,
McNeely? McNeely?
Yeah. So he sees McNeely, who wants to come in and get the offensive rebound. And he immediately just puts the lumber on him, boxes him out. And what that allows is Condon is able to come over and just snag the board there. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to see from a role player. A guy who understands that his role is to just make winning plays. You're not out there to score. You're not out there to be a superstar. You're out there to do the dirty work, bring your lunch pail, and just get to work. And he does that on tons of possessions. As soon as the shot goes up, he's looking for a guy to box out. He's looking for somebody to put the lumber on and make sure that they are going to get the rebound. So that's a nice thing. In terms of, I know that I've been going on pretty long. I'll just I'll just go through all the points here. So his body is very good. Lets him finish through contact. He has good hand-eye coordination. He can finish at the basket. He's a disruptive defender. As I was mentioning, he is a ball hawk, but he's also able to stay in front of guys. He uses a good east-west movement. He has good lateral foot speed, and he has a developed body that can sort of stop players when they're moving towards the rim. Obviously, Florida was extremely successful. He arrived there. They were good before that, but he arrived there and then they won the championship. And he was their point of attack defender. He was the guy that they were putting in front of the guy who had the ball. That's a really good sign. He had some really nice defensive games. There were really good games against UConn, Texas Tech, Auburn, where he just stayed attached to his man, was able to be one of the cogs that allowed them to play such effective defense. And then the big thing, the transition play. So those are the things that I would look out for: defense, transition play, and three-point shot. And you're looking at a guy who has a roadmap towards becoming an NBA role player. If you have those three things in your bag, you know what? You're probably going to make it into the league. Did you notice anything about Alijah Martin that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think you did a really good breakdown on him. I was somebody who initially, because I didn't have my eye on him as a player that the Raptors might choose, I needed a little bit of selling on, and I think you just further sold me on him, because I think something that the Raptors very much lacked last season, the season before, was this identity. And it seems like the identity that they're trying to form is that we are two-way, we will bruise you, we will get the body on you and make it hurt like the Orlando Magic have been like some of the more successful teams establishing their defensive identity. And he's another guy that can kind of add to that.